Okay, good morning everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the University of Pittsburgh's College of Business Administration. Good morning, Chris. I'd like to welcome our friends from PRC and Savannah. I just want to say that a little background on our class. We're the class for leadership and ethics, and each semester and year we're presented with the opportunity to do a new project. This year we were presented to learn a little bit more about AAC users and AAC devices, and as of this class is called Leadership in the Social Environment. So it actually fit in quite nicely. I think we all have different social groups, social networks, and social organizations. And the key fundamental aspect of all of these social groups is communication. And how we communicate differs dramatically person to person, as we have come to find out over these last few short weeks. A few weeks ago, if you had asked me, I would have just said verbally and maybe via text or email. However, thanks to Chris and the wonderful people at PRC, we've been able to really expand our knowledge base. So our primary mission of our class, the purpose of this project was really to just do some research and understand AAC users and AAC devices and their impact in not only a user's environment, but also in our environment and social environment at large. With that, I'd like to pass it over to Group 1, Lauren, and let them explain a little bit of the background that they did.
Okay, so, no, it's okay. So we were the user analysis group, and our main focus was the users, obviously. So we were looking at what people have language disabilities, and who would be using the devices to assist with language. So we went through some extensive research. We did a Skype call with Chris Klein. We also watched numerous videos and other interviews, as well as read articles about individuals who have benefited from using AAC devices. As a result, we learned that language is crucial. It's crucial in forming relationships, it's crucial in interacting with others, it's crucial in communicating needs and wants, and crucial in development and growth. So our research also showed us that on average, men and women speak about 27,000 words a day. In the US, there's 7.5 million people who have disabilities that hinder language. And also we found a 50 to 70% relationship between speech disorders in children and behavioral and emotional disorders. So as you can see, there is a need for assistive communication devices. And with that, we, as a user analysis group, created 4 deliverables that is in our final report. The first deliverable was a report that outlines the effect on individuals with disabilities. The second one, so after Skyping with Chris Klein and watching other interviews, we created a standard interview document with all the necessary questions to ask individuals using AAC devices. And this aided us in creating a success story interview book highlighting the impact of successful communication with AAC devices, and this can also be used in the future. We also wanted to develop a mechanism to help individuals who have a language disability gain employment and help employers that may work with these individuals successfully retain employment. So we created a document of tips to help individuals and employers cope with this type of disability. Finally, we reviewed additional areas in which efforts can be concentrated on finding individuals who could benefit from using speaking devices, and we developed a user community analysis report to outline the impact devices have on users. So, as a result, overall, AAC devices improve lives. It gives users the ability to be challenged and engaged by language, and it's also the user's ability to speak not only benefits them, but also the people surrounding them. It gives users a sense of independence, so in regards to working and communicating on their own, as well as it provides users with a sense of purpose. By using AAC devices, users will have improved mental and social health. So here is just a brief, some samples of the quotes from our success story interview booklet. I just want to highlight on 2. So the first one is at the very top. I'm going to read it out loud. It's from Chris Klein. He says, "I have been using AAC for over 30 years now, and it has given me a life. It has given me opportunity to build relationships, and those relationships have developed into a great community. The community I have built has given me the freedom to live on my own." So that was really impactful, as well as right down here, Steve Gleason said, "The words that I type can be selected to be spoken or sent in an email, text, or chat. I'm able to use the same speech generating device to pay bills, set a budget, call, text, email for help, play a video for my son, write this article, and much more. This technology is life-sustaining, and it allows me to be independent and productive. In a sense, this tablet is a cure for me. So those are just two quotes that I thought were really impactful. Now passing it on to the stakeholder analysis.
So following the user group and realizing the need for these devices, we wanted to develop an understanding of all the different stakeholders that were involved within this industry. So identifying the different stakeholder groups within regulation, product development, and seeing how they were all connected. So our process in doing this was first identifying who is the current central hub of all this, these interactions. And from an interview with Chris Klein, we identified that users are really central to this industry. Excuse me. From talking with him, we realized that not only are decisions made in different areas that affect users, but they're also actively involved. So, for example, Chris is part of Become, a mentoring or an awareness campaign of different people who use AAC devices. So we realized that they're actively involved in spreading awareness of AAC devices. So you'll see in our next slide and also in the report that there is a web that shows how these stakeholders are all connected in different stakeholder groups there. From that, we developed a comprehensive list of all stakeholder groups. So we thought through who was all involved in different interactions. We sent out a questionnaire to all these stakeholder groups and different representatives to get their opinions on who they primarily interact with, as well as different challenges they may face. From those answers and from our own research, we created a hierarchy chart that showed tiers of involvement, so how involved these different stakeholder groups were with users and with each other. We developed basic connections in their day-to-day interactions and also special relationships, so ways in which they were interacting that were more impactful in ways that you wouldn't normally recognize. So here's our user-centric chart. As you can see, users are in the center as they are essential to all these different areas. There's 5 different ways that users are affected: regulation, advocacy, product development, personal impact, and speech development. From that, you can see there's different areas on the different webs that show different stakeholder groups that represent these. You can find in the report a greater explanation of this, but this just shows how users are central to this industry. Now you can see a stakeholder hierarchy chart that we developed based off our questionnaires and own research. Users are at the top as they are central to this industry right now. And then there are 6 different stakeholder groups that are on the first tier. These are people that are regularly involved with users in those 5 different areas. You can see with the red lines that those are special relationships. So, for example, semantic and speech-language pathologists need to interact because based off of different therapy that speech-language pathologists are having with users, they may identify a new need for something to be found in the software. So these are relationships that are crucial to really developing these devices to help users in the long term. You can notice in the upper left-hand corner is CMS and different regulatory bodies. We strategically place them there because we know that they interact, or their decisions impact PRC, speech-language pathologists, and doctors, but they don't normally directly interact with them. So it's a very interesting type of relationship because it's not two-sided, but almost one-sided. And it's extremely important to notice that users are not connected to CMS in any direct way. You can see a further analysis of this in your report on a chart we created highlighting their different goals, their interactions, and challenges that they face when interacting with these different stakeholder groups. And there's also different areas for improvement, which I will pass on to Jake in Group 3 as they developed a reconfiguration of this.
Thank you. So, as Lauren showed, there seems to be a need for change within the AAC community. As a matter of fact, one of the leading activists in the AAC community, Chris Klein, who's also a user of these devices, as we all know, said that even within the community right now, not everybody is on the same page. So it's clear that there's a need for a more streamlined communication process within this community, and this communication should permeate all levels of the stakeholders, including users, manufacturers, lobbyists, etc. So why is this important? Well, having the proper systems in place will allow all users and all stakeholders to work collaboratively, share experiences, collect and analyze data more efficiently, as well as establish an action plan moving forward. In this table, we outlined the redefined roles and relationships of all the stakeholder groups and placed them into categories including key stakeholders, indirect communicators, and special interest relationships. So we also actually iterated the suggestions for the interactions between the stakeholder groups, as well as goals of these groups, and recommendations for how to best utilize the communication forum. With these updated roles and relationships, we created a new flowchart that shows the connections between all of these stakeholder groups. They have to work collaboratively and communicate efficiently and reciprocally in order to be the maximum as efficient as possible to best suit the users. By connecting all of these groups through efficient communications, it allows PRC as well as the users to remain at the center of this hub and create the best possible outcomes for the users. Can you just go back one slide? As you can also see, CMS and the FDA still remain as a special interest relationship because while their decision-making and policies do affect the community, and while the collaborative and collective voices of the community does impact the decision-making process within these regulatory bodies, there's actually very little two-way communication between these two. So that allows the users to remain set at the center of this web, and for PRC to reach out to all relevant stakeholders and then use all of that information to pass along to the CMS and to the FDA. So by opening up a dialogue between all of these stakeholders, including educators, doctors, employers, the users themselves, manufacturers, everybody together, you're not just creating more information, you're sharing information more freely, but you're also giving more effective ideas and content for PRC and advocacy groups to pass along to these policy making groups. So our recommendation for PRC is to create or to implement an internal communication forum that connects everybody in order to collaborate, discuss, share ideas, and inspire each other in order to create positive change in the community. All groups can provide this information, receive this information, share ideas, and in doing so, they're not only helping improve the well-being of the users, they're also brainstorming ways to get this new information out to the general public in creative ways and inspiring ways, which become the awareness campaigns. And to talk about that, I'm going to pass it on to Sarah and our marketing team.
Our job was to create an awareness plan or a marketing plan that you guys would be able to take and hopefully be able to use and reach a larger audience with it. So we started out by looking at the social media presence, and we realized that it's not very strong. We looked and saw that Shout AAC does have a Facebook group. It hasn't been updated recently. So with the technology nowadays, everyone's on Facebook, everyone's on Twitter, everyone's out there showing the community what they have and what they need from other users within the community of social media. So it's really limiting the audience that you're able to target and reach and show what they could do to help benefit the AAC community. We also realized that there are influential speakers out there who use the device, like Stephen Hawking. He's been in the news within the last few days, actually, on how the device has helped him, how it is, the speech-generating devices has helped his life and his success, as well as Chris Klein. A lot of his class could sit down and say that we really didn't know about these devices and how much impact they have on everyday users until we Skyped with Chris, because it makes you realize that it is a need and it helps their everyday lives and benefits their overall well-being. So with this, we've developed a marketing plan, and it is outlined in the report with details, but we realized that the goals of this marketing plan is to educate a larger audience and get more awareness out there within the community, and also to reach out with different organizations that hopefully you could partner with to go into their resources and their supporters to gain a wider range, because in the end, you guys do have the same goal, and it is to help those who have speech language disabilities, sorry, couldn't think of the word, disabilities, to help them in the long run. So with that, we developed prototypes that you could physically go on and see how they're set up, how you could use them. So with that, we created a Facebook page, a Twitter, and we put all of these into a hashtag They Need Their Voices campaign for you guys to use. The hashtag to us represented that without being able to speak physically, they still do have thoughts, they still do have a voice, and these speech generating devices do give that to them. They're able to communicate with people on an everyday basis and tell them their needs and wants and help their living and communication. So we developed an online prototype, which in a minute Dave is actually going to walk through the website and petition with you. We created letters and templates for emails for the different stakeholder groups, because in the end, reaching out to all these different ones, you could tailor it to them and how they could help and how it could impact your campaign, as well as help regulatory agents see what is a need for these users on an everyday basis. So you could tailor it to doctors, you could tailor it to educators, and to different advocacy groups to get them on your page and to help you with this campaign. We also created a storyboard for potential video if you choose to do that. It outlines how interviewing and putting videos of users with their everyday life can help create awareness, as well as family members, doctors, and hopefully sending a viral video can educate more people who aren't aware of these. So now Dave is going to walk through the website with you.
Okay, so our main goal with the website was to be able to try to create a centralized point of information that people could go to, either to learn more about the devices, learn more about the users, learn more about the issues. And like we were talking about, social media presence is really important, but we really thought that it would be most beneficial to create a centralized point of information. And we thought that by creating a website just for the campaign itself, it would make it, one, easier for the users to interact with the actual campaign, but also that way it's easier for different groups or different companies or organizations to sponsor it just on one website instead of having it on a specific company's website and the information through that way. So when we looked through all the different information that all the different groups compiled, we tried to really think about what information was most important in trying to gain awareness. So the first, we started off with the who we are. And it's really just like a quick overview of what the campaign is trying to raise awareness about and touch on some of the issues that there possibly are. We also went into who they are. So we also went into who they are, and when we realized the thing that really got us involved in the project was meeting and learning more about the people who are affected by AAC devices. Can you just click on any of them? You can click on any one. It doesn't matter. So what we did was, through the different interviews that we had with just a few specific users, we created pages that detail not only the different conversations that we've had with them, but we've also linked the YouTube videos that kind of helped us understand their situation a little bit more. We think that by doing this, it's a lot easier to kind of help bring someone who isn't necessarily familiar with AAC devices or the users or the community as a whole, and kind of really put them in a more holistic kind of view. The Get Informed tab, we felt that this was a good way to, okay, now you understand kind of where the people who are affected by it are coming from, to get a little bit more information. So we have an additional resources page. Obviously, there are tons of groups out there who are working on different issues within the community. So they're just links to different websites and maybe a few other campaigns that are going around. The Making Abilities Count, this was what we took from one of the groups in terms of, it's just kind of like the quick guide that was talking about, from an employer standpoint, how to interact and engage with AAC users in the workforce. And then finally on the Get Informed, we also put seeing the big picture, so we use the diagram so that people can see it's not just users and their families that are affected, they can see the entire whole picture of who's actually affected by the devices. the Get Involved tab, we thought that this would be a good way for you to be able to reach out to the people who are interested. So we have both a newsletter sign up as well as a petition sign up. So the petition could necessarily be, if you do decide, I know there was talk and raising awareness about the trying to reach out to regulators. So you could, we kind of created just a quick outline, but basically if you click on either of those, they take you to Google Forms that allow any visitor of the site to enter their information, and it'll collect it all in Google Doc for you, so you can add them to an email list or be able to just attach their names to whatever you want to send to regulators. And finally, we have the Connect With Us page. This way that they can not just have to come to the website every time. So we established a WordPress. We thought that would be a good idea and a good way for you to put on different users that you may have interactions with so that they can learn more about different users. We have the Twitter, which would be an easy way for them to just keep on, just get a quick update if there are any. The Facebook we thought would be a good way to help connect different members within the community. So maybe playing off of the open forum thing, being friends on Facebook, it'd be easier to exchange information and ideas, as well as the YouTube page so that you could connect videos of even some of the ones that we have on the website.
So going off what Dave said, we did create a prototype for all of these, which you will get in the packet if you didn't already, with the emails and logins. So now they're yours. You could go in and change the password and do whatever you like. If you would like to use them, if you don't, that's up to you. So with this, we came up with a few recommendations. We realized that there are so many organizations out there that you could partner with if you do choose to create a campaign to raise awareness, such as Shall AAC Become United Cerebral Palsy, ALS Association, all the different organizations that do have similar goals to you as an organization. Also, you could create a video to educate people about these regulatory problems, such as that they're trying to limit what is put on the device, and it's essentially hindering the amount of communication that these AAC users could do on a daily basis. Also, you could tailor your letters and emails to the different stakeholder groups and how they could help with trying to change some of these regulatory problems and issues in a way that they could speak up and spread awareness within their own communities. And also, there is a website called Hootsuite that you could manage all of your social media sites through it, so it won't be too big of a problem for you to send out a blast for Twitter and Facebook. It'll all combine it, so you could manage all of them through there. So as a campaign as a whole, it would be easier for you to send messages to the public.
Alrighty, just a few things to wrap up. I just want to thank everyone for coming today, and then just let you know this isn't the end. We have, we'd like to open up the floor for question and answers, including from you, Chris, if you have any questions regarding the presentation, and you, Bob.
I'd like Chris to, if we could engage Chris and
Sure.
you ask questions directly to Chris, that probably would be the best way.
You just click on him.
How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing well and was very I am impressed with this. I'm doing well and was very impressed with this.
Thank you. We do appreciate it. We certainly could not have had any type of near the understanding that we do of AAC devices without your help, and certainly with the help of PRC and just the general background information. So we definitely appreciate your help, and we look forward to where this might go in the future. Are there any particular questions with the presentation or anything that we highlighted that you have? Or any recommendations?
I do like how you did. I shine because I believe that what communication is all about, and without relationships, we aren't able to achieve anything. I do like how you did highlight relationships first off, because I believe that's what communication is all about. And without relationships, we aren't able to achieve anything.
We do certainly agree, and I think the group did a great job highlighting that in their section of the report, which I believe you do have a copy of. Are there any other questions, Bob, that you might have, or would you like to talk?
Well, I would just like to say, Chris, that from Shout's point of view, we also centered our mission. It's the study of and advocacy for employment for people who rely on augmentative communication. And we've always had at least 2 or 3 board members of Shout using AAC. When we developed an agenda for our conference each year, we would put out a basic statement on the agenda, and we would get feedback from AAC users to help guide us to make sure we were doing what they wanted to do, not what was in our minds, what we thought they wanted to do. And again, you having a central focus on all the different stakeholders coming to the AAC user and then bringing that information back to CMS and back to the manufacturers for feedback to make the whole system.
I believe that has been done before. I don't believe that has been done before.
Right, and USAC, Chris is the president of USAC, and there are more augmented communicators on the USAC board than there's ever been. And Chris is developing a mentoring program, and we're trying to include more feedback and more interest from AAC users to have that focus. And hopefully the benefit from that will be exponential. It'll go out to more AAC users and their families, to the professionals and the other service providers that serve the people who use AAC. So I'd like to thank you all. I think this was a great presentation. I've been in the field for 30 years, and it's really made me feel good to be a part of this. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Any last comments, Chris?
Just keep up the good work. Just keep up the good work.
Thank you. We will certainly try. You as well. We really appreciate and really admire and have a lot of respect for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. All right.
Okay.
Close off the Skype. You have a great day, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.